So, sir, for the next wine, Chenin Blanc. Chenin Blanc, it's outstanding. It's this chameleon that comes from the Loire, often delivering a lot of precision, saltiness, and then getting into the oxidative styles. Well, this baby here was planted in the 1940s in the Sacramento Delta. This is a Chenin Blanc with a little weight. As you can see, a little color in the glass. It's a 2021 Aperture from Clarksburg.
Yes.
Small percentage of barrel fermentation, of used barrel, that gives it a little more texture and batonnage, if you will. But it's from a fascinating area, from Clarksburg.
I mean, how old are these vines again? You said
planted in the 1940s, so you have
1940s.
Plenty of maturity here. It is a gift. A lot of, if you were a farmer growing grapes and you see a huge demand for Cabernet, for instance, or bigger reds, and that's where your money lays, and you have Chenin Blanc, this is an economic and a passion decision to maintain Chenin Blanc rather than just replanting to something that's going to generate more money, right?
Well, I mean, I guess in the 40s, Cabernet and Napa really hadn't quite made its name for itself quite yet. So, like getting some of this old vine material and having it kind of, I guess, revived, if you will. You want to tell me a little bit about the producer?
Yes. So Aperture is referring to the photographic world, if you will. So Jesse Katz, cool dude, cool cat, I should say. His dad, it's a world-renowned photographer. Early on, when his dad was doing a series of photographing some important and relevant chateaus around the world, Jesse spent a lot of time with them. He would spend summers traveling with them. Spent some time in Aubryon and Petrus and a few places all over the world.
A few places.
A few places of renown. So that kind of planted a little seed in Jesse and said, "Well, I love this sort of winemaking world and romanticism." So as a tryout, he got an apprenticeship at Petrus.
Wow.
So amongst other places, he fell in love with it. He said, "This is what I want to do." Ended up in Napa, went to Screaming Eagle, so he spent some time in the vineyard there and in the winemaking team. And then eventually he had enough resources and passion for it that he started scouting out different places. He found a home for Aperture cellars in Alexander Valley, but with an eye for detail, he's been scouting places for ideal soil sites for specific grapes.
80-year-old Chenin Blanc vines
Bam.
Being revived from California. That's pretty awesome.
You can't say that every day, right?
What a story, right? You were talking about World War II time frame, right? And these vines were planted. And it actually, tell you the truth, it smells like Chenin Blanc. It has a little bit of that woolliness. It has a little bit of that lanolin kind of slight waxiness. It's got body and openness. I can tell that there was some barrel fermentation, but still retains that kind of acidity, that kind of like tightness, that kind of slightly salty, kind of pear-like honeysuckle kind of
Love
profile.
That. Yes.
And I was, to actually smell Chenin Blanc out of this, in a climate like Clarksburg, over there in the Delta, I think this is really, really cool. I mean, it's not like a wine that can be scaled by any means because there's only so much of these vines.
Low yielding.
So it is, you get an
maturity.
opportunity to taste something like this. It's not like all of a sudden people can just plant 80-year-old Chenin Blanc vines and recreate this anywhere else.
Absolutely.
It's a special wine.
Tell us a little bit about
exclusive.
where the Clarksburg kind of lays.
So I know a pretty good amount about Lodi. I've only been out there twice. So Clarksburg, I believe, is like the sandy soil, kind of pretty close to the Delta. I know that it gets some rain runoff right there, coming off of the Sierra Nevadas in and through. I know it can get very warm, but it also gets moderated by the amount of water out there in the Delta. So I think, that kind of sandy, I believe it's the sandy soils. I might be wrong.
Yes,
so might want to check
loam, sand, indeed.
That would have been for like a time in my youth when I knew all the soil compositions, of all the regions of Lodi, and so
still you know more than most people will ever know about wine. But
I can still tell you that this is a really great rendition of Chenin Blanc, especially.
Beautiful. I love the richness. I love the focus. Obviously, here we're not talking about a Loire producer or wine. But you're talking about the essence, as you notice. It's like
true to Chenin Blanc, absolutely.
Exactly. I love the
kind
weight.
Of woolliness and
it's a wine you'll remember. Outstanding with a number of pairings. There's this one dish of Providence in which was suggested for this pairing, and I think it's outstanding. Alaskan halibut, Manila clam bouillon, sort of like richness, creaminess. A wine that, as we said, it has a little bit of more structure, more richness, more viscosity. and will cut through the meatiness of the dish with that Manila clam kind of spice to it.
Yeah, I think the brininess of like clams and definitely that kind of clean kind of profile that halibut brings in. This wine's got body to it, but it's by no means does it feel heavy. You know, it definitely has that Chenin acidity. It's got the energy still. This is not some heavy, rich wine, but I can see that working excellent with clams, especially and halibut as well.
Tasty wine, worth sharing the story. We're thrilled to have an allocation, and yeah,
I gotta get back down to LA and go to Providence. It's Providence. Pardon me. It's been 6 years since I've been there. I apologize. I'll get back soon.
So we're all due for a visit soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chin chin.
Cheers.